What's up people, Jeribus here. A week ago I asked you guys on Insta to send me a couple of photos for me to edit my style for YouTube video. Well, this is the YouTube video. And wow, did you guys send. Anyways, I told you guys to send only raw images, so if you send JPEG, I'm sorry you didn't make it to the cut. I'm sorry, I just can't work with JPEG images. So yeah, welcome to the video. Let's start it. Like I said in the beginning, I had to select some images and I only got the chance to select 3 images. So these are the images. The first image was from a photographer named Malcolm Caldy. He is a good photographer, a very nice friend of mine. And this was the image he sent. The second image was from Angela. She's a friend of mine. She's a model in the US and this is what she sent. And the last image, which was actually the most difficult one for me to edit, and I don't know how to say this, but just planning the idea for that photo took a lot of days because I didn't know what to do with it. So that image was from another good photographer that I follow on Instagram, and his name is Tiago. He's really crazy in the color grading world and he's just amazing. So this is the image he sent. Now that you've seen the selected images, let's see what we can achieve with them. Okay, so for the first photo, when I first saw this image, I was like, no, I just have to try my best to make this image look as different as possible from the original. And I had some crazy ideas, but I didn't know if it would work. But then you'll never know if something works until you try it. So first things first, I brought the image to Photoshop, and since it's a raw image, it automatically launched the camera raw filter. Over here, I had to adjust the basic tab that included exposure, temperature, shadows, highlights, contrast, tint. Once that was done, I just hit OK and brought the image into Photoshop. As I said, I wanted this image to look so different from the original. So looking at it, I was like, that background got to go. That background just needs to go. So using the selection tools, I did that. I did keep the floor though because I like that. Now I brought in some textures for the background to imitate a wall. Aligned them so they look good enough. I then created a rectangle behind her to look like a pillar. Resized her to fit the frame. Now I had to create the wood strip on the floor because the other half of the image had that. I just wanted to match everything up. At this point, I think the composite was finished. It looked good. The background, the pillar, the wood, everything was just okay. Now the only thing left was to start with the shadows, the highlights, and the color matching. First step was to colorize the floor because I really wanted the whole image to have this pinkish reddish vibe. I also gave the subject some pinkish midtones because if the image is going to look pinkish, she also has to look pinkish. The first step of the shadows, the wood strip was looking very bright and weird, so I had to fix that. Made it darker and created some shadows on it and the floor so it looks way better. Second placement of the shadow was going to be behind her, on the wall and on the pillar. To do that, I need to find the light source, and in this image, the light source was from the top left corner. But hold up. The shirt she is wearing doesn't look too good. I need to fix that. So I was thinking, what if I change the color of the sweater she's wearing? Plus, to make it really pop, I need to find a color that is directly opposite from pink or red, but also matches in a good way. So we all know what color that is. Blue. So yeah, I made her sweater blue. Now back to the shadows. I brushed over the pillar and the wall to make the shadows look really good and added a light leak at the corner so I could make the shadows much more darker. Now it was time for retouching. For retouching, I used the clone stamp tool and the healing brush to fix up some parts, and I also used frequency separation to smoothen up her skin. After retouching, the next thing to do was dodge and bend, and in this image I really wanted the dodge and bend to be super present and dominant, so I just maxed it out. Created shadows and highlights on the face, brightened up the eyes and created a highlight on her shoulder and edges to imitate the light source from the top side. This made a huge difference and you can see that for yourself. I mean, wow. The last thing to do was to create some form of depth in the image, so I added some field and iris blur all around the image. At this point, I think the image was finished, so I just threw in some camera raw filter, color graded this, pushed off some sliders, and ooh la la, this image was looking really good. And also, yeah, I went back to add some subtle reflections on her glasses and changed the lip color to kind of match the shirt. because why not? So just a little recap, we went from this to this in a matter of, well, hours. Let me know what you think about this image, and Malcolm, I will be sure to send you this image as soon as I have the time to. I hope you love it. On to the next one. The second image, which was from Angela, was really an epic image. I mean, look at this. She's in this hangar with the plane and there's a lot happening in the background, but you know, we are editing this my way. I'm in charge here, so let's get to it. First things first, I gotta make those raw adjustments, you know, the temperature, the exposure, you know, basic stuff. After that, I just put it in Photoshop. And first, wait. What if I go crazy, like very crazy on this image? Like really crazy. You know, I'm talking of crazy like she in the desert with the plane behind her, and the plane is actually a sign of hope. And there's wind and, you know, just, yeah. But you know what? I can't use the plane behind her because the plane doesn't really look that cool. So why don't I just model my own plane in 3D? So yeah, let's head over to DAZ Studio. I'm running DAZ Studio on Windows on the Mac. There's a lot of on in that, but yeah, and it's working perfectly. So this is it. I have a plane model ready to go. All I have to do now is just adjust the camera and match the camera from the original shot. With that done, I just hit render and went back to Photoshop because I literally can't sit and just watch the render go slowly like that. So whilst it was rendering, I just started masking Angela out of the image. That took some time. I used the masking and brush technique because that is what I think is precise for me. I don't use the pen tool. I don't use the quick selection often. I just brush around her like very slowly till I'm done. It takes a lot of minutes, sometimes hours to do that, but then it's for the best, you know? It's for the best. After I brought in a stock image of a deserted area and placed that on top of it. At this point, the plane had finished rendering, so I just brought that in. Also brought in a stock image of a sky. I found an image of these huge rocks for the background, and this is how the image was looking. I know it doesn't look good at this point, but hey, we are now getting to the good part. Relax. I lightened up the skies and started painting some shadows on the ground. What is this? I lightened up the skies. Bro, that thing just distracted me. What was that? I lightened up the skies and started painting. I lightened up the skies and started painting some shadows on the ground. This is a whole lot of brushing and erasing. You don't want to see that, so let me skip. Next thing to do was to create highlights on our subject. Also a whole lot of brushing and erasing. You do not want to see that. After all that, I just merged the layers of the background and added a tilt shift glare to give it some depth. Next thing to do was to correct the hair because the crop from the initial background wasn't looking too good. The hair was kind of very bad. So I had to use the brush to paint my own hair. The next thing I did was create a blur points on the plane so it doesn't take too much attention from the model. After that, I just had to change the color of the chair she was sitting on because the green wasn't really matching anything in the image and I had to get rid of that. So instead, I matched the chair she was sitting on with the bag she was holding and the plane, which was yellow. And that actually seemed right. I also made a dark curve layer and placed it in the background so the background looks a little bit darker. It's a deserted area, meaning that's going to be a lot of dust and wind, so I had to implement that. I created some haze behind her and also in front of her. Remember when I said I wanted this image to look very different from the original? I got this image of a pilot's helmet and I was like, why don't I place this on her knee? Because why not? I'm in charge here. So yes, I did that. I matched up the highlights, the shadows, the colors, so it looks good. I placed some environmental particles and some dust particles so the image looks a little bit real. I always say this, you need to add particles in your Photoshop edit. The next thing to do was skin retouching, and as usual I used the clone stamp and the healing brush tool to do that. Luckily, the model Angela had a really good skin, so it made my job way easier. Now I created a hue and saturation layer and made the background a bit darker again for some subject separation. And I created a light source to guide my dodge and burn. I used the curve layer and the blend if option to create a subtle dodge and burn effect on her face. At this point, I thought the image was looking really good. So to finish it, I just added some color grade and pushed in some sliders in the camera raw filter, and oh my god, this image was looking really good. But I did add a whole lot of distortion to the image because I wanted it to look like it was shot from a very wide lens. And this is the before and this is the after. So let me know what you guys think about this image. Also, Angela, I'll be sure to send you this image as soon as I can. And please, if you guys are still watching this video and you are here, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to hit the like button, comment. Please, your comments are very important. And on to the next one, the third image. Let's go. And now the third and the final image. With this image, as I said in the beginning, it was really difficult to think of an idea. Compositing it wasn't really ideal. I didn't have any ideas. It wasn't common. It just wasn't. So instead, I thought, what if I try color grading this instead? Just color grade. So to make my job a lot harder, I have the software 3D LUT Creator, and I converted the raw file to a log format. If you don't know what a log format is, this is it. This is what Google says it is. So I'll just let that sink in, read it. So yeah, I converted it into a log format and I just put it in Photoshop. As I said, this was actually a boring edit, so I'm just going to make this a speed art section. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the music. So here you go, the before, which is the raw, the log, which makes my job way harder, and this is the after. I hope you guys love this video, and Thiago, I will be sure to send this image back to you as soon as I can. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. I said I am going to be active on YouTube. This is my second video in 2 weeks, so yeah, I think I'm fulfilling that promise. So if you guys really love this, if you want to see more, just leave a comment, subscribe, like, share, you know, the YouTube and the script stuff, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.